A warm welcome to each one of you. This is the Naomi Talk Show with you, Trudy Liz Kenya, and kama kawaida, I'd like to appreciate each one of you that has become part of the big family that we are growing to become. Asanteni sana. And to everyone who is coming across our content for the very first time, allow me to say, karibu nyumbani, because this is a place where you'll get three things from every program that you get to watch on our channel. Every story will educate you, will equip you, or inspire you to do life the way God intended, because they will sharpen us from every angle, from how to raise our children, from how to have an amazing holiday, from how to do, everything around the life that we live on a day-to-day basis. So kama you're new in this space, karibu sana, feel at home, and go through all the content that we have been uploading for the last many months that we've been on set. So today we are going to take an interesting turn. Today we are talking about nurturing holistic development in early childhood. A few months ago, we had a nutritionist on set, and she said the first 1,000 days of a child are crucial, are critical in developing their cognitive skills and everything around that child that needs to grow. So whatever the parent needs to do, that it's the first 1,000 days are very crucial. Now we build it up from there to know what we need to do to mold this holistic child and how we can walk around it. And we have an expert on set to help us do that. Because at the end of the day, you also don't want a child who is academically progressing, doing very well, and not doing so well in other spaces around their life or that thing that pertains their day-to-day lives. Tuko pamoja? So without taking much time, I want to bring on set the expert who will take us through this. She's an amazing lady. I've known her for quite a long time. She has a school that we'll talk about as we get to the end, lakini tusianze hapo. Before I go ahead of myself, karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Liz.
Kindly introduce yourself to us.
My name is Miriam Mwaringa, mostly referred to as Teacher Miriam. So I think it's just good to call me Teacher Miriam.
Okay, Teacher Miriam.
Teacher Miriam.
Yes.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
What do I need to say about myself? I am a teacher, like I've just said. I trained to teach in high school, to teach English and literature. But then I have always been very passionate about children. So I taught in high school for some time, then resigned, went into private practice, started a daycare, which has since grown into a school, and went back to school and did my master's in child development. So now I am fully into child development.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. I have seen your school grow through the stages. Na watu wanaiongelelea. So we are benefiting and reaping from the experience that you have in that field, and we totally appreciate you giving us the time to be here.
Thank you.
So we begin from the place of what is a holistic development in early childhood?
So holistic development, just like you've referred to it, holistic means whole. Yeah, so when you talk about holistic development, we are talking about complete, wholesome development. So development that looks at all the domains of a child. So we are talking about a balanced child, a child who has developed physically, emotionally, socially, cognitively, morally, and spiritually. That is a complete person. We are talking about the physical, the spirit, the soul, like just a total being, a total child. That is what holistic development is all about. Yes.
So let me ask, the environments we raise our children in, do they have an effect on raising that holistic child?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Because you see, if we have an environment that is limiting, that is not rich enough, that is suppressing. You know, there are environments, Liz, that could suppress development.
For
Not
example?
just for children, but even for an adult. If you're in an environment where you are constantly criticized, for instance, constantly shut down, constantly not, appreciated, what happens to you? You dim. You start feeling small, right? But if you're in an environment that expects you or that encourages you to bring out the very best of yourself, you start flourishing, you start thriving. Now, if that would happen to an adult, what about a child? So if a child is in an environment where they are constantly being told, shut down, shut up, people are talking, as if the child is not a person.
Oh dear.
You know? And I know we have had such kind of statements.
Yeah.
Maybe even some of us growing up.
Yes.
You know? Shut up. Why are you talking when people are talking? So who is the child supposed to think they are? So if you're in such an environment, what happens? Your self-esteem slowly goes down. So you are scared. You are never sure of yourself. If the environment is so restraining, like you are given instructions in the morning, stay indoors, don't step out.
Kwanza hiyo that's a major challenge, especially in the urban setup.
I know. So we wake up, we prepare to work, especially over the holidays.
Yeah.
Because children are home, and for good reasons sometimes, Liz, because again, we are not also very sure about the safety of our children and the safety of our neighborhoods. But imagine this child who is constantly kept indoors, told don't go out, don't open that door, there is the remote, there is food, so there is nothing new, no exploring. So what does that mean? This child is just not developing, so the environment is suppressing their development. Maybe they will grow physically because the food is there, and they can eat as much as they want and whenever they want. But that is just one aspect. And remember, if you are constantly eating and maybe just staying on screen, you are also risking lifestyle issues, obesity. No wonder more than ever in history we are raising children who are struggling with weight and with even childhood diabetes. I'm sure you've heard about that.
In fact, I was surprised, and I asked the nutritionist when she came on set, and she said it's alarming.
It is, indeed it is, it is. Growing up, we never used to associate some of these illnesses with young children. Yeah, but you see, we are feeding them. And I'm sure the nutritionist must have said this, on a lot of starch, a lot of processed food, because we want also them to be comfy as they are watching their television, so they stay indoors and they don't go out. So they are munching like throughout biscuits, popcorns, sugary drinks. So the body is growing.
What we never had, we want to give them.
Exactly. So, most of us are coming from a space of, I never got this, my child will never lack it. So you provide overly. And as you're doing that, growth is much more. Yeah, growth is much more. So your child will put on weight, they'll become big, but that's just about it. What's happening to their brain?
Imagine.
What's happening to their emotions? Have you ever noticed that when you are too full, you actually start losing sense, even as an adult? Yeah. If you eat and you are full, no wonder the children of Israel were told, when you get there, you eat and you are full. Don't forget, because it's possible. So when this child eats,
your mind becomes foggy.
Exactly. So what is happening to their emotions? They start throwing tantrums. They are on a sugar rush. So the emotional development is curtailed. The mind, like you said, is foggy, so their cognition is curtailed, because in holistic development we are saying all these areas, they are connected. Your cognition is connected to your emotional development, connected to your social development. So you start, you are comfortable. You don't want any disturbance, so you'll be pushing people away. Yeah, so it's the environment is actually everything. Environment is everything in child nurturing.
I just remember there's a day we had gone to see the doctor, and my daughter was in 12, and they were like, we need to check blood pressure. And in my head, we never grew up seeing ourselves being measured blood pressure at that age. And the nurse said, well, these days,
We do.
these things are happening as early as 12,
Can you imagine?
13.
Yes.
Teenagers having hypertension.
Yes. Diabetes.
And you're like, man, where are we going?
It's in our effort to give our children the comfort that we missed. Yes. Yes.
And we don't want also them to engage in house chores, in the house,
No,
cleaning.
but we have people to do that.
We have, oh dear.
Yes, and we grew up with a funny sense of work. Work felt like punishment.
Yeah.
So
Very
for the love we have for our children, we don't want to punish them. Yeah, without realizing how, in fact, research has proven that children who are engaged in household chores, simple chores like clearing the table,
Yeah.
cleaning the table, doing dishes, mopping the house, even watering plants, research has proven that those children have better chances of being successful as adults.
Hebu angalia ile kamera uambie wazazi hivyo.
Yes, so we are saying that this is research that has been done, because I know a lot of us feel like, why should I pay someone when and still have my children get tired? But clearly, there is a big link between involving children in house chores, and I'm not talking about them going to dig farms. I'm talking about them doing simple things like cleaning the table, just clearing the dishes after their meals, doing dishes, making their beds. I mean, it's them who sleeps on those beds. Yeah, making their beds and simple things. Even preparing simple meals, Liz. There is a serious link between that kind of involvement and success later in life.
Wow.
Yeah.
We are learning. So you can go, you don't argue with research findings, by the way. There are two things you can't argue with. One, research findings and the Bible, what the Bible says. Those two things are there to show us, to direct us, to give us indicators of how we ought to do things at home. So the question is, whose role is it, or who is failing, asking for 100 other parents?
You know, Liz, parenting is not easy. We all know that.
Yeah.
I am a mother, you are a mother.
Yes.
You know, it's not easy. And considering that, especially for parents raising multiple children, you are raising three, like me, I have 3 children, so I'm raising 3 different human beings with their different personalities. Yeah. They all came from me and their father, of course, but they're so different. Yeah. Yes, so parenting is work. And I think the moment we realize and take it as such, maybe we will do better. It's work that we need to be prepared for. It's work that that takes a toll on us emotionally. You know, we mostly look at it financially. I can't have another child. Where will I get school fees from? You're just looking at one aspect. But you, as a parent, you are constantly pouring into your child. So you need to be in a good emotional space, even for you to parent. Okay. And so for the better part of early childhood, we are talking about the first 1,000 years, 1,000 days. Sorry, that the nutritionist talked about. I'm so excited to hear that the nutritionist mentioned that, because it is true. The first 1,000 days of a child's life are, let me say, the most important. Yeah. Because that is from conception to 2 years. Yeah. So by that time, most of the time, it's expected that the primary caregiver will be the parent, because that child is not yet school age, right? Yeah, so now at that point, you are very influential. And again, some theorists say that that is the age that a child is developing what we call, is at the stage that we call trust versus mistrust. They are building trust or lack of it. So if the child cries and you just ignore the child, they learn, oh, the world is so cruel, no one cares. Wow. Yeah, so you are affecting their emotions. They may grow up thinking, why should I care? No one cared. But we don't think about such things, you know. In fact, traditionally, you'll hear people say, let them cry, anapanua lungs. Yeah, aliye tu, anapanua lungs vizuri. But ideally, as you let the child panua the lungs, what is happening? The child is beginning to think. So no one cares. Okay. Yeah, no one cares. They stay with their diaper, it's so wet and heavy. Yeah. And they're, you know, they're getting those sores, and it's already a communication to the brain. They may not verbalize the frustration, but they are feeling, I'm not cared for. You know, you take them to feed them. You just no communication. You're not even looking at them. You're watching something on phone as you are feeding, or even you are suckling. The child is suckling, and you're not even looking at them. And you know, when a child is suckling, they are constantly looking at you. By the way, they're always looking at you. I'm sure you know that as a mother.
I know, you bring the memories.
Yeah,
I'm trying to see.
So the child is suckling and they're just looking.
And sometimes they'll bite and look at you.
Yes, so that they see how you react. Because they're like, and you can imagine, especially in this era, how many mothers are nursing their babies as they hold their phone.
Oh, no.
Already another communication.
Yeah.
That you're not so important. This is a duty I have to do. When I'm done with you, I'll place you down there and continue with my things. You know, so it's a whole lot of things to nurture a child. And now back to your question, where does the rain start beating? I'll say at every stage a child has different needs. When the child is in the hands of the parent, especially those very first initial years of development, and Liz, early childhood sets the tone for a person's life.
Yeah.
A lot of us walking this earth not being in our best forms is because of our childhood traumas. We have issues that we have not dealt with from our childhood and we have not healed from, and however much we mask ourselves, it's just not working. They say it's not giving. It's not okay. Yeah, so at those years it's the role of the parent. I'm assuming the primary caregiver is the parent.
Yeah.
Whoever is the primary caregiver, that's the time to stimulate your child's brain. Let them be in a rich environment, even as a newborn.
You know, I ask who, because we are also in a season where the mothers their role is to give birth and hand over the baby to a nanny.
Yeah, and it's an issue of concern, and from the nanny to the teacher, you know?
So from the nanny to the
again
teacher.
To the teacher, yeah.
That's why I wanted, again, we had a person who was talking to us about reconnecting at the family level. And he said, there's no way you just drop the baby, rush to work, and expect to come and catch up with them when they're teenagers.
It doesn't work.
Let's talk.
That's the truth.
They
won't want to talk to you, I tell you.
Who the hell are you?
No, they wouldn't even want to see you.
Yes.
They will be disappearing into their rooms until when you are gone. Trust you me. So at that early age, the parents clearly.
Exactly.
I mean, even sometimes hens do better than us.
Imagine.
They guard their little chicks. They cover them. You can see, you try to get near there, you can see, like, wow, this one is fighting, you know, mother hen instincts. But it's like now as mothers, and I guess now with the work, I don't know, the fact that a lot of mothers are working, and you know, we are just busy doing life, and money, we feel like money should do these other things for us, but there's a thing that only you can do, because if the hen itself with no, I don't know, does a chicken have a brain? I don't know, but imagine with all that, it just being a chicken.
It
still covers. You don't get near their chicks, do you?
I know.
You will be pecked.
Ooh.
It will even fly.
Yes.
But how do we even just hand over the child, like you said, and even do a whole night of sleep comfortably? The child will be crying and they're being lulled across the corridors of our homes by someone who didn't actually give birth to them. And you are okay and you are healthy. So help us, God.
And help us
to
understand what we need to do in every season as we raise our children. So yeah, it is sad, but let's now look at this child that has been brought to you at the school level. How can you describe when you see a child that this is a holistically molded child even from the home? Right. What are the things, indicators that you can say, well, this?
You see, once again, holistic development means that this child has been taken care of in all domains. We have about 5 domains of development: the cognitive, emotional, social, physical. We have also moral, and we have spiritual. A lot of people don't talk about the spiritual part and the moral part, but it's very important. Yeah, so when you see a child that is, of course, physically, a child needs to be the right size for their age.
Yes.
So we are not saying a child who is too big for their age or too tiny for their age until they look malnourished. So that means physically the child has not been taken care of. If this child, again, and they have no underlying condition, because again we have conditions that will affect a child's physical growth. Yeah, so for physical, you're talking about even the use of motor skills, the gross motor skills. The gross motor skills are the big muscles, the legs, the hands. Can the child walk? If the child is supposed to be walking, are they walking? If they are not, have they been diagnosed by with a condition then that is affecting that mobility, in essence affecting their gross motor skills? At early years, is the child able to, does the child have a grip? You know, simple things like crayons. I don't know what parents make of when you're told buy a packet of crayon. I don't know. I don't know.
Can I speak as a parent?
Maybe you should.
These teachers, what do they want to do with these things?
I know, right? But you see, when you buy a crayon and printing papers, I know those are things that schools ask for, right?
Yeah.
Yes, so now you have been asked for a printing paper and crayons. The idea is the teacher wants to give this child, your child, a crayon. There's a way that crayon is supposed to be held, okay? Just holding the crayon is already work. It's looking at the fine motor skills, the small muscles, the finger muscles. Is the child able to hold the crayon? Is the child able to color? Just the grip. We're not even talking about coloring within the margins.
Yeah.
Just holding
The
and
grip. Yeah.
ata akicolor all over, it's still fine. So that coloring, so again, you can't color when you are looking away.
Yes.
We're also talking about eye and hand coordination.
Okay.
All that is learning. Can the child coordinate the eye and the hand? Does the child have a grip? Because if the child is coordinating the eye and the hand, then we are also talking about concentration.
Yes.
There is no school that will teach concentration. Until now we are having a lesson on concentration. It's activities. Yeah, so now these activities, as we do all these activities, if you're looking at a child, the child doesn't have a grip, so already that tells you the physical growth is not okay. The child doesn't have fine motor skill. The fine motor skills are not fully developed. You go outside, you're hopping and skipping. The child can't. Gross motor skills are not okay. So physically, the child is not okay. You want the child to look at you in the eye. You are trying to talk to the child. The child can't look at you. So that is, in as much as there is an aspect of cognition, again, there is also the physical, because we are looking at each other. Yeah, so you look at all those things before you even go to looking at cognition. Emotionally, you put the child together with other children. And their children, you will put them together with other children, they will always isolate themselves. Every time they'll pick their toy and go to a corner. You observe that constantly. What does that tell you? Socially,
They are not developed.
the child is not developed. The child cannot manage in a group. They can't participate in group activities. That means they will not be doing turn taking. Okay? And so emotionally, they are also feeling frustrated, because you see, if you go to a place and you're feeling like I don't belong here or I can't mix with these people, what are your emotions going through? You want to run away, literally. You are uncomfortable. So you see the interconnectedness with all this. That's why we can never look at a child and say, even if this child doesn't like mixing with other people, that child is so smart, that is good enough. No. Even if the child is cognitively very developed and still can't work or play with other children, social development, that's a concern. If the child is constantly cannot express their emotions well, they are always screaming, crying, rolling on the floor, you know, that means emotionally they are not developed. If they are struggling to do activities that the other children are doing at their age, that means they are not physically developed, and it's also affecting their emotional development, because they'll be feeling like they don't fit. So you are looking at all these things and saying, for holistic, I mean, a child needs to be looked as a whole. We cannot pick one aspect, and say the child is fine. No. And that is actually even how us as adults should be. Because even if you present super papers with great grades, please, and you can't team play, because you are socially not fully, okay.
Wired to,
yes,
to work
so
with the rest.
who will benefit from your wonderful papers? The company will not benefit. So, and you see, you can't start developing holistically as an adult when you never did as a child. And that's why we are talking about children, because childhood sets the pace for growth and development later in life.
So that, what I'm hearing you say, the day we bring you that child, there are those things that you look at before even say this child is an A student.
Yes.
And it has to begin from home.
By all
My
means.
fellow parents.
By all means, Liz.
It has to begin at home.
Yes.
I don't know that you're feeling this, dear parents. Don't wait for the teacher to perform magic on your child, because that's what we expect.
I know, and parents can be so harsh on teachers. My goodness, that's why we say our reward is in heaven, Liz. Yeah, clearly. We cannot be rewarded down here. It's not easy.
Oh, okay, forgive us. I'm apologizing on behalf of very many other parents out there, because we bring and we expect
super magic.
Yes.
Yes.
And if this is not working, my son came when he was antisocial, sorry to use that word, and still he has not moved from that level. Why are you not doing something about it as the teacher? Oh dear.
Can you imagine you're asking the teacher why you're not doing that about it, and you will come in the evening from work, sit down with your phone to update your status.
Yes.
Okay? Maybe the other parent is on his laptop, all right? And the child is just there alone. Ideally, you are not socializing with your own child, and you want the school to help your child to socialize.
Lord have mercy on us. Imagine, it is sad, but we thank God for these sessions, that they give us a slap, a wake-up call as parents to be able to do something, and especially when they're in their tender age and they're trying to. Actually, it reminds me of a friend of mine who had gone to pursue her master's, and she was home with the books and trying to read, and the small one around 3.5 is trying to catch the attention. So he just grabbed the books and went with them to the kitchen.
You know?
So the mother is like, what is wrong with you? One in a soma, you know. Then quickly it dawned on her, this guy is trying to get my attention.
Yeah, it's true. And Liz, what every parent needs to know is that, you see the way me and you are living our lives now, like we are so busy, you know, like you have it planned out. This child, however small, they are also living their life. Okay, you are not waiting for you to get serious with your children when they grow. You need to take them seriously now, so that when you are waking up and you have a 6-month-old, a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, you already have their day planned. What time will they eat? What time will they wake up? When will they take a bath? How is their playtime? Because the way you are reporting to work or reporting to your business, that child needs to report to our PlayStation, because that's where they will be making use of their brain. You make use of your brain when you're doing what you do and what you are trained to do, okay? But this child, when they are there building the blocks, they are learning so much. They are learning patience, they are learning resilience, that when I stack the blocks and they fall, I need to try again. You never teach someone how to try again. You cannot teach. There is no school to teach resilience. Resilience is taught as we live. Yes. So when they sit on the mat nicely, they are stacking their blocks. They put a bigger block below a smaller block, or a smaller block below a big block, and they all tumble down, and the child feels frustrated. You know? Already that frustration is speaking to their emotions. They are learning, so this life has frustrations.
Yeah.
So I can lose it. I can get frustrated. So, okay, let me try again. That's a whole lesson on resilience with no teacher. So they try again, and it works, and maybe the caregiver or the parent comes in and says, oh, wow, what are you building? Oh, that looks very nice. What are you doing? Building their self-efficacy, their self-esteem. So confidence, again, is built. I can never sit you down here and tell you, Liz, be confident. Please be confident. You know you need to be confident. I cannot teach you that. I need to put you in an environment that requires you to develop that, and my work is to charge you. Yeah.
Hey, this one needs a seminar. Wamama tukutane nyuma ya tent tulipie hii seminar. So what are the key elements of holistic development in a child?
Okay, once I still go back to what holistic development is. So if a child is holistically developed, cognition, their brain is, that means they can problem solve. That means they can think critically. That means they are not acting, how do I put it? You know the way someone can act like a robot. You tell your child, pick that cup from the table, they pick, and then they stand. And they're looking at you.
To give the next
instruction. You know, a story is told of someone who went for an interview and they were, before they got into the office, they found a tap that was running. And so when they got to the office, the boss or the to-be employer asked them, when you are coming in, did you see a running tap? Then he says, he got a bit confused. He says, which one? Says, just check outside. I think there's a tap that is running. The guy just went, checked again, and came back and said, yeah, the tap is running. The boss was like, we are done with you. You just go home. You just go. Your interview is over.
Oh God, common sense is not common.
Clearly. Yeah, so we are talking about problem solving, critical thinking, logical reasoning, you know. Can this child just, you know, even think? And we are when you talk about that, we're not talking about, you know, that high level thinking.
Yeah.
We are talking about age appropriateness, because how a teenager will think is not how a preschooler will think. A preschooler could still be in concrete stage of development where they cannot visualize a cup. They need to see a cup for them to know this is a cup. But a teen is at what we call formal operational stage of reasoning. So they are able to visualize things. They're able to create mind, you know, imaginations. They can actually travel. They can be telling you stories about a country you have never been to because their brain is grown, you know. So we are talking about helping and noticing that your child is able to use their cognitive ability at the appropriate age. Even speech is an aspect of cognition. If a child is at past 2 years, no underlying condition again, and they are still not speaking, 3 years, they have not learned how to express themselves verbally. They are always just pulling you to take you to what they want, you know? And your neighbors are just telling you, it's just a delay, the child will be fine. Then you need to ask, what's happening in this house? Do we talk to this child? Is the caregiver engaging this child enough? Because language, again, is picked from the environment. So if the child has gotten to a particular age and they are not displaying the milestones that they should be displaying at that age, that means the child is not growing holistically. That's why when we go to clinic, the nurses will check the weight. When the children are younger, Liz, they check their head circumference. A lot of mothers don't know why that is checked. You know,
even me, I didn't know. Now I want to know.
You know?
Go and past that stage.
You never know. So you see, the nurse takes a tape measure and checks the head. And sadly, and I don't know why this happens, and I've been thinking, I think we need to have classes where parents need to know what is being done to their children.
Me, I want to know.
You know, you get a baby and you see the pediatrician putting their finger into your child's palm. And they don't tell you why they are doing that.
Yes.
There is even a score. Children are scored at birth, Liz. Like what they call the Apgar score. So later when your child starts delaying in development, that's when you are asked, what was the Apgar score for your child?
I have no idea.
Like, what is that?
Even me, I don't know.
You know, and that is a score that if at birth, if a child, it's usually out of 10. I guess for, I don't know if in other, I don't know if that is standard, but I know it's usually out of 10. So if a child's score is, let's say 4/10, and later the child maybe development is delayed and such. So, you know, going back to that score, you'll be like, there were issues right at birth, maybe just not, maybe picked. They were just not picked. But you see your child is being scored and you don't know why they are being scored and you don't know what is being scored. They are taken to the pediatrician, weight is checked. The list the nurse will tell you, or the best the nurse will tell you, is go see the nutritionist. Something that maybe you should have been told when you were expecting that child, or just before you got that child, so that you watch on their nutrition. They check the head circumference to see if the brain is growing. Yes. Or, again, if the head is growing too big, there could be water retention. But anapimwa, unachukua mtoto wako, you go home.
Honestly, I had never bothered. With all my 3 children, I think I have never even bothered to know why they do. I know they used to do it, but yeah.
And you can imagine, it's so many of us just not knowing what is being done to our children until later. In fact, even when we look at the clinic card, the booklet, you know, it has very clear guidelines on developmental milestones per age. When does a child get a social smile? When should the neck be, you know, strong and upright?
You know, you make me go look for those things too.
But I think it's a lot of good information that parents need to get. In fact, the other day I was saying, I'm thinking child development should be taught as a common course for because I mean, whether we are going to be parents or not, we are going at any point to interact with children.
Yeah.
Our nieces, our nephews, our neighbors' children, they are our business, because this is our future.
Exactly.
Yes, this is our future. So we cannot just be so unconcerned. You know? So I was like, I think this thing needs to be taught, because you can see the way we are walking the earth, so clueless. You know? You will get a child at 5 years, and you're asking the parent, why the child has never started school? No. Why? The child, I was waiting for the child to start talking. Okay.
Delayed speech.
That's delayed speech. So this means this parent, by 5 years, you should have known if speech has not developed there, the child needs to do an assessment. You need to check what is delaying this speech. And you know, sometimes it's not always where there are these conditions that we are very worried about. Sometimes it's just environment, like we talked about. If the environment is it's not rich, a child needs to be brought up in a rich environment, not rich in terms of 70 inches screen. I'm not talking about that level of richness, or a packed fridge.
Where there is harmony in short.
Yes, it's rich. There is peace. There is engagement. You know, the child anaongeleshwa, you know, it's not like a object walking the house. It's not like the person we turn to entertain us when we have nothing else to do. From morning, the child needs to hear you, Liz. Good morning. How was your night? Whether the child is speaking or not, they are recording.
Yes.
When people wake up, they say good morning in this world that I have come.
Yes,
you know?
by the way.
Yes. So you don't have to wait for them to start talking. You need to, even as you change their diaper, you need to talk to them. So those are indicators. So the indicators of holistic development are per age. What should a child be doing at 3 months, for instance? If the child is supposed to be having social smile and they are not smiling, then are they developing okay?
But you see, a normal parent out here, okay, most of us, as long as the child is, because when you come home in the evening, what do you check? Mtoto alikula? Hana fever?
Yes. Will you change diaper?
We are good to go.
And that's where we lose it. And you know, even the caregivers know that is what we ask for. So they even have it already rehearsed. Alikula? Will you change diaper?
Alilala mchana?
Alilala, ameamka tu a few minutes ago.
Bas.
You are satisfied.
Good.
But you are not asking. You know, like even you yourself, you don't have a structure. You see the way parents get frustrated towards the holiday. Kwanza we are going into the December holiday. 2 good months.
Wacha. Kuna fever. Inaitangwa nani fever?
I know. 2 good months. Wameshaanza kupiga simu shosho ya receive watoto. You know, people, yeah. Because you clearly have no plan for these children. No plan.
No, we had a teacher who came and tried to give us a plan of what we can do over the holiday. And she was I actually realized these children can be engaged throughout the holiday. Instead of us panicking, having them at home.
Imagine.
Anyway, but hapo kwa delayed milestone, I think there is a problem. I had a speech therapist say, these days she's having more children being taken to her office. And it's because they're speaking like cartoons. You see the way, because they're too much exposed to
cartoon language,
to the cartoon.
Cartoon speech, yes.
8 hours,
It's
9
the same
hours.
story everywhere.
The child is...
That's what we are also dealing with as a school.
Oh.
And we need to know, Liz, these are human children who should be brought up by human people.
Not by...
You know, you hear a parent saying, nikiweka your TV, I can go to town and back. And you are so proud of that. Anakaa the whole day. Nikimwekea chakula hapo na niwashe TV. Nitafanya shughuli zangu na mimi, I'll be fine the whole day. You should be worried. Because who is raising up this child for you? So, it's and you see, sitting and watching is passive learning. Please, you see, even you as an adult, you can get addicted to screen. People have lost jobs because of these screens. Unafika ofisi uko ni IG, unacheck FB, unacheck TikTok, you are just all over. That is where you are starting your day from. You have reports to submit, you have work to do, but you just hooked up kabisa. Now, if an adult who knows they have to work to meet their bills can get so hooked up to screen, what about a baby who has no cares in this world? They are not paying any bills. So you constantly sit them there. It's passive learning. They are receiving. There is no, there is passive. They're just sitting and receiving, imbibing. No giving back. Because when you watch something on TV, you cannot start saying, that's a lie. Who are you telling it's a lie? You can start saying that. So everything you watch becomes correct. Yeah. And so how the cartoons talk becomes how we should talk.
Exactly.
So your child is talking, your parents say, my child is talking, but they are talking to who? So they are talking, but they are talking is not the talking.
Of human beings.
Yes, language is an aspect of an environment. And that is why when a child is growing up, they pick words from their immediate environment. That's why they'll start calling mom, dad. They'll start mentioning the words that are close to them. They go to school. Sometimes you can all become teacher in the house because they have picked another vocabulary, right? Yes, so if they are exposed to that cartoon language, and parents are so defensive when it comes to screen. They say, I want screen to teach my child English. English mtoto asome from cartoon. Cartoon unamwekea, I hear kuna hata za educational. Hapo ndio ana learn ABCD. There is no day human interaction. There is no day screen will beat human interaction. It will never happen. It will never. It will never. Because again, even the producers of those programs know that you are never going to sit through with your child to watch. They know you don't even know what they watch. So they could equally list those programs with things that are damaging for your child.
They are.
They are list already, yes. So a child, they know you won't be there. You won't know what your child is watching. So it will start as a child program. Then in between, I put in something small. Even children have been taught how to hurt their siblings or even to kill their siblings through these programs.
How to revenge.
Funny agendas are communicated through these programs because they know you're not going to sit there to watch. So when you strongly justify and say that screen teaches your child, I mean, it gets worrying. Where are you so that your child can be taught by screen?
You're making us feel bad.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's not the intention. I'm speaking to myself as well, by the way. I'm sorry. That's not the intention. But I know we are good parents. We are doing our best.
Yes.
But clearly, we just need to think straight and realize these children have been placed in our hands by God for us to mentor and to mold them. And Liz, you are a parent is a very, I think I would say, of course, God has the destiny of these children in his hands because he knew them before they were formed in our wombs, right? So he has their destiny in their hands. But he uses you to take those children through their destiny because that's why he says, why have I put you together so that you can raise for me a godly offspring? He could still raise the godly offspring on his own.
Just drop them like that.
Yes, and they will still, because he has all that power. But he clearly states he wants you to raise for him a godly offspring. So it's your duty.
Sawa. I'm responding on behalf of my fellow parents. We will adjust accordingly. So we have to land this plane. And I hope you have confirmed she's very informed. So wewe ni mzazi na wewe ni mwalimu na wewe ni proprietor. Shule iko wapi? kama watu wa hiyo side wenye watakutana na hii video wanaweza ipata alafu wakuje kwa hiyo shule?
Oh yeah, shule iko Donholm. We have 2 locations in Donholm. We have a center in the new Radesham estate, and we have another center just behind Equity Bank. We are an inclusive school, Liz. We take care of, we have the neurotypical children. Those are the children that the lay people will refer to as normal, but they are all people are normal. Yeah, so we call them neurotypical, the regular children. And we also have the special needs children, children who have been diagnosed with special needs like autism, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, dyslexia, cerebral palsy. We also take children with cerebral palsy and any other delayed development. We also have therapy sessions, speech therapy, occupational therapy. We also recommend assessment. Sometimes parents just don't know. So the child is delaying and they don't know why they delay. So we advise them and ask them to take the children for assessment so they know what they are dealing with. Once they know what they are dealing with, they bring back the child, and so we develop a program to help the child navigate through the challenges that they are going through. And then we also have another center in Syokimau, just doing the same. Yes.
You need to connect with her for that super, let me call it super, assessment and growth of your child if you live within the radius of the spaces she has mentioned. By the way, it's a good safe space for your child. I can confirm that, because of course we know there are spaces that are not safe.
That's true.
And the holistic part of a child, even growing up spiritually, I can assure you, ako sawa. Ako sawa. So as we end, I would like to, of course from the discussion we have engaged in, is to challenge each parent to realize that God gives us his children, and through every season there are things we need to, critical questions we need to ask. What do I need to delegate as I raise up my children? What do I need to defer? What do I need to delete? Because there are times you have to delete some assignments, some tasks, some jobs for you to be able to be there and present for your child. There are things that you have to defer to do them later for you to be able to raise a holistic child. And of course, there are times you need to know what to delegate. So trust God for the wisdom to know what to do, how to do it, and when to do it as the seasons in your child's life unfold. Because at the end of the day, we want to raise a holistic human being who can fit well in society, regardless of where they are placed. So as you think about it, let me say, God bless you. See you next time.